On today's show, we have small recap. Nothing too exciting happened this week, but recap nonetheless. And then a full weekend of picks, a million picks, as Kyle likes to say. And one of us, only one, has changed their luck. The other one, we're not really sure. You'll have to stick around to find out who those are. Without further ado, let's start the show. Welcome to episode of Sitting Courtside. Today is Friday, February 2nd in college basketball. College basketball hit an all-timer this week with upsets. Our top 10s will be a disaster come next Tuesday. I might not even be able to put out a top 10. But without that, let's recap it. Let's give you everything you need and then get into the picks. Kyle, take it away, sir.
Yeah, we have so many picks, so we're going to make this recap quick. We're going to go through the quick the upsets and then just a couple other games that happened. But 5 of our top 20, like in the rankings, lost this week. I mean, we are down. Like, this is crazy. Like, basically every day somebody's losing the top 20. But let's start with number 3. UNC loses for the first time since December 16th, 74-73 at Georgia Tech. UNC shot 36% from the field, 28% from three. And it was basically just RJ Davis versus Georgia Tech because nobody else on the team had more than 9 points.
Yeah, I started thinking about it after it happened. We were a little bit surprised, but were we really, though? They've struggled against mediocre competition, I feel like, for 3 weeks now. So we'll keep it there. The real downside of this whole thing is going to be Georgia Tech, who will not make the tournament and now has beaten North Carolina and Duke in the same year for basically no reason.
I know, right? I saw that earlier, too. I was like, damn, Georgia Tech, they really should have done better earlier.
Which it's their coach's, I think, second season, right?
Yep, it is.
So there you go. And I forget his name.
I don't know.
Not the crazy white kid anymore, though.
No.
With the curly hair, that guy. Yeah.
Was it a Pastner? Is that who it was before?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it moving, though. We'll go to another top 10 team that lost. The Gamecocks, South Carolina, huge road win, 63-59 over number 5 Tennessee. More than half of Tennessee's points came from one guy. So they got 28 points from one dude, or 31 points from one dude, 28 points from the rest of the team. And the rest of the team shot 10-34. They only hit 2 threes. I think the real story here is South Carolina, though. They're 18-3, and they now look destined for the tournament because they have one loss outside of the quad 1 games. And they're 4-2 in quad 1. So, like, I mean, they might falter here late in the SEC, would not shock me. But I never considered South Carolina as a tournament team.
Never even crossed my brain. We talked about it actually afterward. I text you. I was like, wait a second. They're 18-3. Never did it cross my mind they were 18-3. Needless to say, we did both look at their schedule. It was a cupcake schedule, but they're winning the games they're supposed to win. So good for them. And to your point, they're going to make the tournament, I think, even if they're mediocre down the stretch, because they're going to get to 22, 23 wins, have no bad losses essentially at the SEC. They're in. They might be an 11 play-in, but they're in.
Yep. And it's going to be like so hard to like compare them to, like, say, I don't know, what is it, like the 8th team out of the Big Ten that gets in there, and it's just like, who do you pick out of this one?
Yeah, facts. However, I do want to call it something. I threw South Carolina halfway under the bus earlier in the season whenever I was like, they're just an unwatchable team.
Yeah.
Like, just them basketball doesn't make sense. I do need to take back, though, they have excellent uniforms. Those uniforms were fire. And I know they have the black ones that are awesome. So my apologies. Uniforms are awesome, but I still can't watch you play basketball.
Yeah, especially when you beat a top 5 team and you score 63 points. It's not exactly a fun watch. So. Yeah. All right, the last team in the top 10 to lose this week was Kentucky. And if you listen to the last podcast, we were already a little worried about them. They lost to Florida in overtime at home, 94-91. Walter Clayton Jr. hit a 3 to tie it up at the buzzer for Florida, and then they just beat them in overtime. But I want to just talk about the common theme here for the first 3 teams that we've talked about. They're all top 10 teams, all teams that we kind of relied on most of the season. They have gigantic top 10 battles this weekend. Yes. Tennessee, Kentucky, they play each other. It's a 5-10. UNC plays Duke, 3-7. This was a classic look ahead for all 3 of these teams. and they all failed their task. And so I know we have a lot to talk about with Kentucky, but this is just one of those things in college sports that you have to look at is like, who's the next opponent? Because it really does impact who's going to win the game beforehand.
Yep. And I'm going to say this, and this might be what we're going to call the courtside curse, and it's going to be reversed, but I'm officially out on Kentucky. I don't trust them in the tournament. The end of that game against Florida was everything you have to have at this point in the season. It's not going to happen for you. You have a month left to play. Like, they couldn't hit their free throws down the stretch. They couldn't put their foot on Florida's throat and finish. Let them back in the game with that buzzer that they deserved to have no business even being in at that point. And they couldn't even compete in the overtime. Like, they were literally up 4 points going to the free throw line for the last minute and a half, could not hit their free throws. It was insane. And then the overtime, just the most pitiful effort I've ever seen. Like, Cal has lost the team. Has Cal lost the team? Answer, yes.
And what sucks for me is because I was supporting them for the entire season because I thought, like, holy shit, this team's really talented. They're going to get all these guys back. Well, they're getting them back. They have 2 of their 7-footers back, and they're getting worse at defense. They're already outside the top 70 in defense. They're getting worse at it when the guys are getting back. So it's like, that gives me no hope in their like immediate future because you're supposed to be getting better when you get guys back, not worse. So,
and I want to get ahead of this now because someone's gonna be like, "Well, you guys said back then they were stinky." They will make the Sweet 16 based on their matchups because they have the athleticism and the offense. When I say I'm not trusting them, they are not making the Final Four. They're definitely not winning a national title. And when it's Kentucky, that's what you expected of them. Also, when you look at it, they have not deserved to be a top 3 team as far as gambling goes to win. And they're always in that. They're like right there, 3-4 to win the whole thing. They shouldn't be there at all. They're a bad value. I'd avoid them at all costs.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because we do, like, when I like put Kentucky in like a spectrum, I'm thinking like, can they make the Final Four? I'm not thinking can they make the tournament, like,
yeah,
good
exactly.
Call. Yeah. All right. So not really an upset here. Number 15, Texas Tech, though they were in the top 20. They did lose. They couldn't keep up with number 25, TCU, 85-78. There's really no shame in this loss. Yeah, it's their second loss in the last 12 games. No big deal for Tech. But they actually looked like they were going to control this game early. So I was just like, as somebody who bet Texas Tech, I felt really confident after the first 10 minutes. But this isn't a bad loss for them at all at TCU.
Yeah, not a bad loss. I will say though that if anything, it's more just like you understand the matchups now with them. Like, they can play good defense, but they're not like great at defense when they're going to play a team with a really good offense. So when they get into the tournament, which they will do, you got to start thinking about that as you're pushing them through. Like, who are they going to be playing? Because if they're playing a top 15 offense, they're just not going to be able to keep up with points. But again, they're a quality team. They're not at all a Final Four team. I'm not saying that, but quality team nonetheless.
Yeah. And then the last episode of the week that we had, or at least I had on here, was, I mean, it's a real shocker for me because I've only been preaching one thing for about the last 3 weeks, is that nobody can win on the road in the Mountain West. Well, I didn't even consider Boise State like a contender in the Mountain West, and yet they beat New Mexico right after we said they were one of the best teams in the Mountain West, 86-78. We anoint New Mexico as a good team, and then they did this against the 51st best team according to Ken Palm. So this one really shocked me, and now I'm like, do I even try to bet in the Mountain West at all?
Courtside curse. I'm telling you, we like a team. You go in the dumpster. However, worked for me. Still got Boise's figuring it out. By default, I picked them, and it just keeps working out. They're still right there in the hunt. They make no sense as a team. I'll tell you that right now. New Mexico, though, fun fact, I think it was either early last week, maybe late 2 weeks ago, I gave the teams that were in that Ken Palm rating that could win the national title. New Mexico has found themselves in that bunch now. They are now one of like 12 teams that fit the actual mold of what you need. So don't sleep on them. Yes, it was a loss on their end, but maybe if you're feeling a little, you're like, I'm a little sprinkle on a future for them.
I like it. And just to like go back to that for those that didn't listen or do not remember, they're 9th in defense, 27th in offense. So pretty impressive. All right, so we don't have much time to recap all the other results because from Monday to Thursday, there were so many basketball games. So let's just talk about a few that I have, and if you have any others, we can touch on them. But I think we need to go all the way back to Monday, where number 4 Houston absolutely was in a battle with Texas in overtime. They defeated them on the road 76-72. And I wanted to highlight this one because I have made so much money on this player prop bet. Jamal Sheed for Houston. He is on a heater right now. He has scored 25 in this game or 16 or more in the last 4 or 5 games. He's only averaging 12 on the season. And if you look at like each prop for the last 3, it's been either 12.5 or 13.5. I'm riding this one till this one falls off the wheels. I think this is the easiest prop bet to make. Since we are a gambling podcast, I really think this one you should ride until it falls off.
Additionally, on Houston, which I have found, and I actually think I called it out during the last podcast, just keep taking their overs at this point. Vegas has not figured out that the Big 12 likes to run and gun and play a lot of offense for the most part, and Houston has no problem playing that. I think the total in this game was like 138.
Yeah.
And I know we quote unquote barely got through it, but the pace of that game early looked like it was going to blow past that number. There was some shaky shooting down towards the end, but I think for me with that game just as a whole, Houston was in control of that game for the entire first half.
They definitely were.
I almost think it was like a down thing on their energy almost in the second. Like they were in full control. You heard Kelvin Sampson. He even said it. They're like on the halftime. They're like, "Oh, are you expecting an upset? Is this an upset?" He's like, "There's no such thing as upsets when you come to Texas." Like he fully expects to go there and win by 15 plus. So that was the only thing other than like I said, the over. Like it was a weird second half for them, but otherwise.
And actually, after this game, Houston became the #1 defensive team in efficiency. They have now claimed that spot. But I will say that the big change from Houston is L.J. Cryer at the beginning of the year, the transfer from Baylor, was their offensive star. And now it's definitely Sheed, like at least in the last months. So it's just interesting how they've adapted a different style now. So
yeah, I will say this too. They have a lot more, I think, limelight than this team did last year, but they do remind me a lot of San Diego State.
Yep, definitely. All right, I'm going to let you get the first word on this one because I have a lot to say. Number 2, Purdue avoids a sweep by Northwestern as they hold on in overtime to beat the Wildcats 105-96.
All right, I'm going to hit you with this, and everyone's going to go. But I have priorities that I have to take care of on Wednesday nights, so I don't watch a second of this game.
Okay, perfect.
All I did, I'm going to just say this now. All I did was went and looked at the box score because my wife did watch all of the game and was like, you got to look at this box score. Yeah. Which I love. And so I'm going to ask you, as a non-biased person, what were the refs like? What was the refereeing like in this game?
It was so bad. That's what I have 3 bullet points and 2 of them were that. It was so bad.
Let's see.
All right. So, okay, I'll just set it up. Obviously, if you're listening, you probably already know. I'm a husband of a huge Purdue fan. They're from my wife's side of the family, everybody on there, huge Boilermaker fans. But there is not a person that watched that game that can honestly side with it was an even game ref-wise. There's just no way. Because in the last 25 years in the Big Ten, there's never been a differential this big in free throw. So for the last 25 years, nobody's been like, okay, this works. It was 46-8 free throw differential. And I get it. Purdue always wins the free throw differential because of Edey. But 46-8 is absolutely incredible. Boo Buie, one of the best guards in the nation, played 42 minutes and was a star for at least 30 of those minutes. Didn't shoot a single free throw. I mean, it's absolutely insane. I just cannot understand the free throw differential. I mean, the foul differential is only 31-15. I mean, it's still double. That's pretty ridiculous. But I don't understand the free throw differential. I will say it took an absolutely amazing shooting night for Northwestern to even get this game to overtime. Ty Berry couldn't miss a shot in the first half. Boo Buie was absolutely the best player on the court second half. But this is not going to happen on Sunday. In Madison, Wisconsin, it is just not going to happen where you get 38 more free throws. So I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a team shoot 46 free throws when the other team doesn't even reach 10. It was absolutely crazy.
So I will say that's the first thing that I seen. I looked at free throws. I was like, my actual first words were, holy shit. And then I was like, okay, that's pretty extreme, but maybe there was a big turnover differential or something, and that's where it came in, a lot of fast breaks or something. So I go to turnovers. No, actually, Purdue had more turnovers than Northwestern did.
Yep.
Then I went to fouls, and I saw that number, and I was like, this is a bit suspicious.
Yeah.
Bit suspicious. To make matters worse for Purdue, and I'm a big free throw guy, okay? You got to hit your free throws. They're free. They shot 63% from the free throw line.
Yeah, so
Absolutely
bad.
despicable. Be ashamed of yourself. If anything, Painter needs to literally have every single one of his guys just stand at a free throw until they hit 100, and that's their practice.
Yeah. And literally, it was all Kaufman, Rand, and Edey. Like, I think only like 4 other missed free throws the entire game. But it was just one of those where it's like, I get it why you're getting fouled. And that's kind of what Northwestern has decided to do. Because if you remember in their first game when they beat them, all their centers fouled out and they barely were able to hold on in overtime. But 46 to 8? Like, that's just incredible. That's just absolutely
46 to 8. Like, that's the most insane stat line you will see the entire year. The entire year.
Actually, I have a stat for that. There's been 541 games going into Friday. So add on whatever the hell Friday happened or going into Thursday, whatever happened Thursday. That was the second most differential in the entire year. Like all of this college basketball season.
Still insane. Something more. Jeez.
Yeah, there was a 51 to 9 that was difference. And it was 2 teams that nobody cares about. So it's just like, this is insane. 25 years of the Big Ten, and this is the biggest differential. So
it's still insane. So,
but that's the only reason I want to highlight that game.
All right, perfect.
Was there anything else you wanted to do before we pick 1,000 games?
No. Let's get into picks.
All right. What's your updated record? Because I cannot wait to give mine.
I'm so glad you're excited. I am 367, 329, and 4, 700 bets exactly. 52.7%. I will let everyone know now, though, but I do have 10 bets already on Thursday night, which will update as they come in. So by the time you listen to this podcast, we'll be at 710.
All right.
So I say that to be like, kind of stinks, but also like, I'm tickled to death that I have 700 bets. I
was about to say, and you're crushing it at over 52% too. So, all right, not to brag a little bit here though. 246, 185, and 0. I have went 17 and 5 in the last 3 nights. Just absolutely ridiculous. Dominated since we talked about
17 and 5 in the last 2 days.
3 days, last 3 days. And 2 of the 5 losses I've lost by a point or less. So I will say I am absolutely rolling right now. I'm hitting at 57%. Remember how I was under 56 last month? I am now over 57. So
love it.
But we have an absolute loaded slate here for the weekend. And as I said last podcast, the weekends have not been doing me well. So
we did have this exact conversation.
So, all right, let's just dive on in because we don't have a ton of time, I'm sure, because we have about, I think it's 13 picks to go. But let's start with Friday, one that nobody's looking at right now. I'm calling this the scouting game because at 9 p.m. on Friday, Toledo, 14 and 7, at Akron, 16 and 5, are both 8 and 1 in the MAC. One of these 2 teams is very likely to win the MAC. One of these 2 teams is going to be dancing in March. Toledo, the better offense. Akron, the better defense. Akron, though, is undefeated at home, and they rank better in both systems. Right now, KenPom has this at less than a 4-point game. So I'm going to back the home team because I got to be honest, haven't watched a lot of MAC games this year.
That's fair. That's fair. All I know is we're going to play a lot of offense. Toledo likes to run up and down. This total doesn't scare me. I'm going to go over 147.
Do you have an over? Do you have it on here?
Yeah, 147.
Is that what it? Oh, you said okay. So what's
over 147? That's what I got. Also, just so you know, KenPom, you said has it under as a 4-point game. You can get Toledo plus 5.5.
Ah, Jesus.
What about them?
Oh man, I thought it was going to be.
This will be here. I've got the greatest idea for you. Okay. It's a ballsy play. So if you love something, take it. But if you don't know what you want to do here, go into the game. Let it start. See if Toledo jumps out early. 5, 6 points. Money line comes down to within a range that you like. Hammer the live money line on Akron. Find yourself a way out.
I actually really like that because A, that's a genius play. B, if Toledo gets off to a hot start, guess what? That over under isn't going to move that much because that means Akron hasn't scored. And if Toledo is going to be leading the game, then I'd actually go with the over then because Toledo is like going to control. So I like that. I'm going to wait a little bit and look to bet Akron because I definitely do not want to lay 5.5 points with Akron in this game when they
No,
only
that's what I'm
average
saying. You were saying that, I
like
was like, that's
71
tough.
points games.
It's tough.
So that's a bad lane for me, but anyway, I'm looking to bet Akron at some point in the game. I think they win this game. If I had to bet anything right off the bat, I'm looking to bet that Akron like -3.5 if I have to. I'm buying it up. Like I'm buying like -160 at 3.5. So all right. So Saturday, before I even make any bets or any
Oh
picks right
boy.
now, do we have any lines? I don't think we have any of them, do we?
Looking now. Nope, not a single line out.
Okay, and so I'll just pull up Ken Palm just in case we want to refer to it. Give me just a second. All
Well,
right, so
we both know I'm just as good as Ken Palm.
that's very true. All right, so it'll be February 3rd. Okay. So the very first game on Saturday. Well, we mentioned these at the end of the last podcast, but we're going to talk about them in depth now. Noon, number one UConn, 19-2 at St. John, 13-8. This is one of those savior season games here. St. John's was at 1 point 12-4. They've lost 4 of their last 5, but they are 9-2 at home. Though I see UConn currently only projected to win by 4 right now on Ken Palm, and I think UConn can crush St. John's. I think they could absolutely blow them out of the water because they've basically done that for the last month against everybody they played. So I'm going to take UConn, and I would lay up to 5.5 with them.
So I'm going to take UConn. I agree with you on that. However, this is another trend that I've been seeing a lot lately, and it was confirmed by a couple other people that I follow that do these types of things like us. Vegas is pumping numbers right now, more so than ever before. If you looked even like in football this year, more square bettors were winning than ever before. And I think this is a perfect, they're going to pump the number. I think 4.5, 5 is appropriate. I think they're going to put this line closer to 7.5.
Do you think so? Really?
I really think they're going to try to push it because they're looking at the square better now. They're going to see a number one team in the country, and they're going to pump it up high, hoping that people go with it. Or I don't even know sometimes what the heck they're trying to do, to be quite frank. But I feel like they're going to pump the number here, make it really difficult for people like me and you that look at the statistics on what we want to do. Because then it's like, well, sheesh, I thought I was getting amazing value because I think they're going to crush them.
Yeah.
But just a thought. See what happens when the line comes out. And you'd be like, no, Jordan, you're an idiot. But I'm with you on this. I think UConn, this is where UConn caught their vibe last year and really just kind of their groove. So I'm riding with them. I do think they win this game by double digits.
And so just for anyone that has followed or maybe not followed the Twitter as closely as I would hope, I do not like to give up more than like 5 points on any team. So like if this does get up to 7.5, definitely look at the Twitter because I will not be backing UConn minus like 7 or 8 points. Like that's too much for me to give up in
I will say this. Teams are always consistent with their scoring. The winning margin is always where you start to find problems. When I get a line I don't like, I just start hammering the math on the over under. And if I don't necessarily like the over under, but I have a team like a UConn that I do like, and I'm not sure what the game pace is going to be, go look at the team totals.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Or you avoid the game. I don't know.
All right, so we go from the number one team in the nation to 2 teams that probably no one actually has been paying attention to. 2 p.m. on Saturday, Virginia 16-5 at Clemson 14-6. I'm calling this the bubble game of the week because, yes, right now Clemson's firmly in and Virginia's not even on like the next 4 out for a little nerdy. But right now, Virginia is very high. They've won 5 in a row, and they're just 2 games back of North Carolina in the conference. Clemson has lost 5 of their last 8, including a loss to Georgia Tech at home. Virginia is playing their best ball. They're a top 10 defense, and they need this win. But it's a road game. And I know you don't like Clemson. You don't even like to talk about them. So how are you going to pick this game?
Well, this is really weird. I don't know one of these teams.
Yep.
For anyone that's forgotten, they're dead to me. But if I had to take someone in this game, I think the team that you referenced that's a little bit hotter is the way to go. And again, I don't necessarily like where the spread's probably going to fall. So I'm going to look at the over-unders in this. This might be extremely low. Extremely low.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely going to be low.
But I'm going to ride the White Lightning here, and I'm still going to take it.
Okay. You taking the under then?
Yes.
All right. So just to let you know, for guys or for people that haven't been paying attention, Virginia went from the 37th best defense to the 9th best defense in the last 2 weeks. So like their defense is legit right now. It's been incredible. It's going to be a low scoring game. Right now, Ken Palm has a 5-point game. If you give me 5 points in a game, it's only going to have like 60 points per team. I'm taking Virginia. I actually think they might win this game, but I'm definitely taking Virginia plus the points.
I love what you just said there, because in my head, the magic number is going to be 127.5.
Yep. There you go. All right. We have 9 minutes left. So
let's go. Fire. Rapid fire.
All right, 3:30 Mountain West, 17 ranked Utah State at San Diego State. We love Utah State, but Ken Palm likes San Diego State a lot more, and they're undefeated at home. We know this matchup is San Diego State is better at defense, Utah State is better at offense. I've kind of been wrong recently with always taking the home team, and it hasn't worked out in the last couple days, but I'm doing it again. I'm taking the home team, San Diego State.
Taking San Diego State, and I'm going to take Utah State's team total over. Makes no sense, but you're going to love it.
But you're gonna love it. Okay, so the game that I think isn't getting enough credit here, 4 p.m. on Saturday, number 4 Houston at number 8 Kansas. I am very shocked with what Ken Palm is putting this out. They have Houston winning by 5 on the road in Kansas. They haven't lost this year at home. Kansas hasn't. Both of Houston's losses are on the road. If you're telling me I can get points with Kansas at home, I'm taking it, because it just doesn't happen in fall. Like, it just doesn't happen. So I'll take Kansas.
I'm also going to take Kansas, and Kansas outshoots Houston at the free throw line by 22.
I love it. I love it.
That's a complete guess. By the way, people don't actually take me serious. If that happens, call me Houdini.
All right, 6 p.m. Number 16 Auburn, 17-4 at Ole Miss, 18-3. Two teams with good records that they're very misleading. Auburn hasn't won a quad one game, and this won't even qualify as a quad one game if they beat Ole Miss, because they're ranked 57. So this still won't be a quad one win. Ole Miss has 14 wins against quad 3 and 4 teams. Who do you like in this kind of like game where you're not really sure who's good?
So the Pearl Boat is the way to go. However, I talked about pumping. I could see Auburn being favored in this game by 13.5 or more potentially, because Ole Miss is so bad. However, again, we're going to look to the over-under here. Ole Miss does not score. Auburn does. That means this number is going to be somewhere, I'm guessing, in like the 147. If it lands at 147, take the under, because Ole Miss is going to try to slow this game down, and Auburn's going to need to shoot like 57, 58% from the field to hit that number then and win by like 30. So I'm looking there. What's the over-under? If it gets, like I said, around that 145, 147 mark, taking the under. Anything higher than that's insane.
Yeah. So I found one metric that really decides this for me. I already won to back Ole Miss, because on Wednesday I took them at home against Mississippi State. They were an underdog at home. They covered. They won. It was great. And I was like, I want to back Ole Miss. And then I realized, damn it, they're amazing at one step that Jordan loves. They're the number 1 ranked team in luck. So I am taking Ole Miss plus whatever amount of points they get, because I don't think Auburn's even that good. And so I will take, it's probably going to be like at least 8.5 or more. You said it was going to be double digits. Like, I will take Ole Miss at home.
You love my luck. You know who
doesn't have one team?
You know who doesn't have a lot of luck? Their coach, Chris Beard.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right. We go to the best game of the weekend. Drake at 6 p.m. 18-4 at the podcast team. Indiana State, who is 19-3, game of the weekend as a podcast team. The only time they've lost in conference, Indiana State, was early January, 89-78 to Drake. Indiana State, top 40 team in Ken Palm. Their top 11 team in offense. Drake, though, solid on both ends. These two teams shot the shit out of the ball. They were amazing the first time. It was like, I think they combined for nearly 170 points in the first game. we got to go with the podcast team, though, right?
Indiana State, team total over. Game over. Covering the spread. I don't think you heard a word I said there because I actually hit the power button.
Did not.
So it's good. You didn't hear me yell.
Yeah, we definitely did not.
That's God for you right there. Indiana State every day, all day.
Love it. I cannot wait to watch it. And then we go on to another game where I'll just be incredibly stressed out for 2 hours. It is number 7 Duke at UNC. Who's number 3? What is the breakdown here, though? We've already talked about these teams 8,000 times this season. It's basically RJ Davis, who's awesome on offense. Baycott, we know who he is. Duke has 6 guys that can lead this team in scoring, but you don't know who actually is going to lead the team in scoring. Go ahead. Who you picking?
Okay, so this is where I'm going to break in really quickly. Talk about friendship. All right. I'm someone that has essentially hated Duke his entire life. And I didn't really care about North Carolina. They're whatever. Cool. But then I became friends with Kyle. Kyle's someone that needs a lot of emotional support. And I'm always here for him for that, okay? I've been trying to get him to think about this game positively, all right? And that's what we're going to do. I'm wearing, as you might tell, this luscious dark blue that Duke looks amazing. They can only mean one thing. They're going to win this game, Kyle. They're going to win handily. North Carolina's going to complain. Davis, their coach, is going to probably lose some more skin cells because swear to God, he's losing his face half the time he's on TV. He'll probably get another prescription for his glasses because he's going to be blown away. But just how good looking John Shire is. Duke by a bajillion. End of story.
I absolutely love it. I couldn't be more happy right now. And Ken Palm has them as 7-point underdogs. You're going to get one hell of a money line on them too. So
if I don't usually. You truly get 7 points with Duke. Mega massive terminal whale play. That's insane if you get 7 points in a rivalry game. Holy smokes. Sprinkle the money line all day. That's it's going to be March Madness. Woo, right there.
I was going to say, I'm putting it with the run I've had. It's going to be a full unit on the money line.
Responsibly, though. Responsibly going to put a full unit on that.
All right, 8 p.m. on Saturday night. Oh, well, obviously, I'm picking Duke. It doesn't matter. 8 p.m. on Saturday night. Number 12, Iowa State at number 18, Baylor. It's a top 5 defense in Iowa State versus top 5 offense in Baylor. The one set that kind of sticks out to me is Baylor's 9-1 at home. Iowa State's 3-4 on the road or away from home, I guess. I'll go with Baylor because they did get off this night against UCF. But this, at least according to Ken Palm, it looks like a 1 to 3 point spread. They only have Baylor winning by 2. And so at home, I think I'll take them.
Yeah, from a gambling perspective, I'm taking the under in this game. I think Baylor plays enough offense or has that they'll spike this number up. Iowa State, though, plays better defense. It'll slow the play of pace down. And Baylor, if you look at some other games where they've played teams like that, they will play that style of play. The bigger side of this, if you're just like, hey, I want to hear more about basketball and not so much the gambling, great. I think this is a show me what you really are game.
Yeah.
Iowa State, if you are for real, if you're a for real team that I think can actually make a Final Four run, you win this game. Baylor is a fraud. They are a fraud. They've been proven to be a fraud. I don't care that they're 9-1 at home. You go in and you win a gutsy, physical, hard game. Baylor, maybe you've just been stumbling. Maybe you drank too much. I don't know. You go in and you win this game by double digits if you're a legit team and not a fraud. And what I see on the sports books is legitimate.
All right, I like it. All right, so we go to 8:30 p.m. on Saturday. A huge battle here, a huge SEC battle. Number 5 Tennessee 15-5 at number 10 Kentucky 15-5. Kentucky limps into this game though. They are 3-3 in their last 6 games, and they have lost to 3 ranked teams in those battles. Tennessee though, the issue all season has been able to beat top 10 or top quad 1 teams. They're just 3-4 against quad 1 teams. Do you consider Kentucky a top 10 team? I don't think so. You didn't have them in the top 10. I've had them on my top 10, but I can't really imagine them losing back-to-back home games. But who do you have in this battle?
So, Kyle, I think it's fairly obvious where I'm going with this. I said a certain team that you just gave us. Basically, I don't believe it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't believe in Kentucky. I don't. I can't. They're fraudy. They may be full-on frauds. I actually think Tennessee is good. They just had a little bit of a stumbling block, a little bit of a look ahead, as you referenced. I'm taking Tennessee in this game, and I actually think they're going to catch some points. So, Tennessee.
I couldn't agree more, honestly. Like you basically stole all my and I kind of love the over in this one because I think like they're going to drive it down because because Tennessee usually plays lower scoring games in the past. But my huge lean is definitely Tennessee because they are physical. And what they do against good teams is they get physical. Like when they played Purdue, it was like a mud match. Like it was tough. Kentucky hasn't played that all year. So I will also take Tennessee. And yes, we'll definitely be catching points here.
I like where your head's at with this because you're right. Kentucky plays fast. They're a top 20 offense. Tennessee will play offense. I like this. Yeah, I like where your head's with this one.
Yeah, and Tennessee 30th in offensive efficiency, so they're not bad on that side of the court either. So, all right, last game on Saturday night. I cannot actually wait to watch this one because usually it's like, okay, we got two top 25 teams. They're both making the tournament. It's St. Mary's, Gonzaga, whatever. But 10:30, St. Mary's 17-6 at Gonzaga. Numbers are neither ranked 16-5.
No one's ranked.
Right now, Lenardi only has whoever wins the conference championship in the WCC to make the tournament. So, like, neither of these teams are guaranteed locks for the tournament. This game is huge for both of them. Gonzaga 0-4 against quad one teams, but they are 9-1 at home. St. Mary's 3-3 against quad one teams, but they have already had 2 quad 3 losses. This one's tough for me, and I know we've been anti-Gonzaga basically all season. But man, how I saw that place rocking last week. I just think it's going to be very hard to go in there. Zags are 7-1 in their last 8. I'm going to take Gonzaga in what will be like a 2 or less spread, at least according to KenPom, because they have St. Mary's actually to win by 1. So I'm actually going to take Gonzaga at home to win this one.
I think Gonzaga wins this game because it is at home, but I'm going to be rooting for St. Mary's. So for that reason alone, I guess I'll take the plus odds with St. Mary's, see what happens.
All right, here we go. So we got a couple that were against each other. I think as we watch this, or as we record this, it is a Thursday night at 10:30 Eastern. Sorry, Jordan, it's so late.
Fine.
Wisconsin's currently in a battle. They're in overtime, so I really hope they don't screw this up. But on Sunday, we have at 1 p.m., number 2 Purdue at number 6 Wisconsin, which I really hope is just an epic game for the Big Ten lead. Both teams are top 5 in the offense. Purdue is number 1 in the entire nation at offense. But Purdue's 2 losses were on the road in conference, and this environment will be just as huge as what both Rutgers and Northwestern were. The Wisconsin's only home loss the entire year was way back in the second game of the season in early November to Tennessee. Who do you like in this gigantic Big Ten matchup?
This is tough, buddy. This is real tough. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over. These teams play opposite styles, but I think Purdue's the better team. So I'm going to take the over. And if you told me, gun to my head, I had to lean a direction, I think I'm going to go Purdue.
Okay.
I think Purdue has to win. This is the kind of game that Purdue was supposed to have won every year for the last 3 years, and they always let everyone down. They don't make it into like Sweet 16 game. Like they always lose these type of games. They have to prove. They've learned their lesson, and they're going to show up for this game.
I agree. I completely agree. This is one of those where Purdue needs to prove themselves. The only thing I'm worried about with Wisconsin is they don't have a guard like Boo Buie. They don't have like elite guards. Like they have Chucky Hepper, and he's good. He's been there.
Chuck? You don't love old Chuck?
No. I went to the game last year in Madison, and I was very underwhelmed by how he played. I think they're more like their forwards get the job done. I don't think they match up well with Purdue at all. I think it's a very bad matchup. They're both veteran squads that basically only play 6, 7 people deep. I think actually Purdue matches up so much better with Wisconsin than they do with like Northwestern. So I will take Purdue in this game. And I'm going to avoid the over-under because I have not been able to predict over-unders with Purdue.
Well, so this is the thing to think about with Purdue. They're always in the 160s. There's no way you're getting that line in the 160s. They might float all the way down to like 148, 149 just because Wisconsin plays so slow. But if you need a little bit of a push for the people, Kyle referenced very early in the show, Northwestern had to shoot their face off. Even be in the game with Purdue. How good do you think Northwestern shot in that game? Without looking,
they shot over 50% from three. I'm pretty sure. So.
They shot 57% from the field as a whole, including 3-pointers.
50 from the field. Okay.
How good do you think Purdue shot?
It's got to be a lot lower than that.
They also shot 57% from the field.
Okay.
Think about that mentally. In your head, it was normal to see Purdue shoot 57%, and that, I think, is the difference here.
Yeah, I love that.
Basically, in your head, a bad shooting night for them is 57%.
Yeah.
All you need to think about, Purdue will win this game. They will be the better team. And that's the end of the story.
I think it's absolutely incredible that every single year Wisconsin can be in the bottom 20 in tempo. They're 327. So they're not bottom 20, but they're bottom 30. It's absolutely insane.
While we're on that, if anyone hasn't caught on, we have a little bit more time than normal. You're welcome.
Yes.
Why does Wisconsin have to be so weird about everything?
Yeah,
they do a weird thing in football. They do their weird thing in basketball. Can you guys just like be normal? Like if you actually look at it historically, they have always had some of the most athletically gifted teams, and they decide, you know what, we're going to be different. We're going to play really slow. They want to score 47 points a game. Why? Why?
Like, don't you want to have fun, or do you just not want to have fun?
No, fun to them is just like, we're going to grind you.
Yeah.
Just grind you like your mom does in the. Yep, we're going to stop that one.
Yep. There we go. All right, last game on the schedule. It's Monday night, and I just could not put this one on because I love watching this battle. It's always so much fun, no matter how bad or how good Kansas State is. 9 p.m. number 8 Kansas, 17-4 at Kansas State, 14-7. I love when it's like the white out or the purple out, and it's just so fun to see Kansas State basically play their Super Bowl. It is desperate times for them. They have lost 3 in a row, and they're all the ranked teams. They're 11-2 at home, but they are outside the top 60 in net rankings. So they need you got to win this to save your season. Kansas has lost 2 games in a row on the road. I really think Kansas is the better team, but I've lost this bet so many times betting Kansas on the road at Kansas State. I'm taking Kansas State, and they're going to be underdogs. I'm taking a money line. I'm taking the money line to win this game.
Greatest bet of your life right there. You're taking Kansas State. You're taking the money line without a doubt. Kansas will have their toughest test at home literally 2 days prior. They're going to come out of that exhausted. They're not looking ahead at all to Kansas State. They have Houston to deal with. And all Kansas State's been doing for the last 4 days at that point is just thinking, we're going to crush your soul. We're going to rip your heart out. We're going to put it in a nice little baggie like we're Jim Carrey and then shove it away. Kansas State is the play there.
I absolutely love it. I'm glad we're on the same page. That'd be make for a huge Monday night as we're recording because it'll be as we're recording Monday night.
You might get live reactions, people. Tune in.
Yes. All right, well, that's perfect. Make sure you go check us out on Twitter at MingoMade1 is Jordan's, at Kyle Cliffy is mine. There will be a lot more picks. Trust me, the Saturday is loaded. We only touched on the ranked games. There are so many unranked games that we'll be picking. And also, like Sunday, there's a few that we can touch on there as well. So good luck in all your bets, and we will talk to you Monday, and you'll be listening to us on Tuesday.
Love you guys.